Hi, this is a deployment video where I will describe how to connect Splynx and Sage One and where you can find some issues and how to avoid these issues. Okay, we have currently Splynx installed here and I have created one account in Sage One. And now I will describe all the steps that we will go through. So let's connect two platforms as the first step. Then we will have to define the payment methods that we'll use to push from Splynx to Sage One. We will have to define items and configure them with correct VAT inside Sage One. So this is the step number 3. And then when these 3 steps are configured, we have to push customers to from Splynx to Sage One, invoices and payments. And then if we need to grab some payments from Sage One, we will need to also connect these things together. Okay, let's go through the steps. The first one is connect to platforms. I will need to install my add-on to Splynx, and then I'll have to set Sage One login and password to add-on settings. I will open configuration. There is an add-on section below everything. I can use search, or I can just scroll down. Inside these add-ons, I can install Sage One. You can see it's already installed. It has the latest version running there. I can reinstall it, delete it, or check the information, or I need to configure it. To configure it, I need to go to my integrations, and there is add-ons, and there is a module lists. When I go to my module lists, I have the option to configure. So you can see that this add-on, because I was reinstalling the server, it's not actually installed. I need to reinstall it. So I need to reinstall it physically. When I reinstall it, it says, okay, starting to install, then it installs it, and then this add-on should appear in the configuration of the module. Okay, here it says that the module was reinstalled. Still the same version. I will go to my module list and let's check if it appears here. So here you can see that it says it's an add-on and it's available for configuration. The first of all configuration, to have a connection between Splynx and Sage One, it's important that Splynx will sit on certain domain name with the HTTPS enabled. And then here I enter my username and password. So I just created one username and password for test. And this is what I'm going to do now. Configure it. The company ID will be fetched immediately from Sage One. And then I need to save it. And before I save it, we can immediately go to step number 2, which says define the payment methods that will push from Splynx to Sage One. Splynx is able to process payments. It's able to process credit card payments, cash payments, direct debit, PayPal, and similar. And if I want to process these payments inside the customer portal, inside Splynx, and then push these payments out to Sage One, I need to define which payments will be selected and pushed. Okay, so this is the first step that I have to go and do. This is here I'm saying payments pushed to Sage One, and thus I select all the payments except the last one, because the last one is if I want to grab payments from Sage One, this is the type of payments that I'm going to use. Okay, so this one I don't have to choose here. Okay, this is also related to this settings, which is saying Sage One create payments if I will use Sage One as a payment method. So if I use Sage One as a payment method, I will set all payments coming from Sage One as a Sage One payment method defined. And everything that goes from Splynx to Sage One, I will select here. So when I configure that, what I recommend you to do is to disable these things, because I don't want to import everything immediately using cron. I want to do this in my first steps of configuration manually. Okay, I want to export customers, invoices, payments, everything. I don't want to do that automatically for now. So when I save it, I can go to one of configurations of the next configuration settings, and it will show me if I am connected or not. Okay, when I connect my Sage One, and if I'm able to connect, the company ID should appear here because it's the company ID that I created in my accounting. Splynx test, and this company ID appears immediately automatically here on the Sage One API settings. So when this appears, it means that everything is done. I can continue with configuration. What I have to do, so first of all, what I did is I excluded my payments and I included payments that I will push from Splynx to Sage One. So that was done. Now I need to link a bank account or create a pseudo bank account inside Sage One where we will store all payments of Splynx. So this is the step, let's say number 2. I go here and inside banking, I add bank or credit card. When I add it here, so I type Splynx payments. And I make it active, no balance, bank name will be Splynx. And that's all, so I save it. Now this bank account was created and I need to connect this bank account to Splynx. So all payments from Splynx will be pushed to this virtual bank account inside Sage One. To do that, I need to go to my config and find bank accounting, bank accounts under finance. You can see that. When I open that, here there is an option to grab. So first of all, I need always to grab what is available in Sage One and match it with Splynx. I can create many different payment accounts here, like bank accounts. For example, it can be cash payments and it can be Sage Pay direct debit. Okay, and then I can allocate per different payment type. I can allocate these bank accounts to these payment types. Okay, so this is what I can do. Now I will not do that. I'll just grab one account that I have created and I'll push all my payments there. To do that, I'm loading a bank account from Sage One. It will show me now this Splynx payments account with this accounting ID. And now I just select and say all payments that are processed in Splynx will be pushed to that account. So I create Splynx payments. This is done. So it means that we have done step number 2 and we can continue to step number 3. Step number 3 is similar to what we did now with bank accounts, but we need to configure items inside Sage One. And then we need to match these items with categories and tariff plans inside Splynx. First of all, I need to describe you how we work with the categories of transactions inside Splynx. Okay, and then these categories of transactions are mapped to items in Sage One. Let's open our tariff plans first. Here you can see that there are tariff plans Wi-Fi 510 and Fiber 10 100 meg. Each of these tariff plan has its own type of transaction. So here they are even not able to select these types of plan because they are already predefined by default. So if I go there and you can see the voice plans, they have also type of transaction that is created, custom services, all these services, and one time they have type of transaction. When transaction is created, let's go to finance. There are invoices that we have generated. You see there are 3 invoices, and all invoices, they have transactions behind it. So all these transactions, when they are created, they have category. Here it says service. Okay, this category is pre-configured. I can play with these categories. I can assign different categories to different types of services. And then what we do is that we synchronize this category with the item or with accounting code inside our accounting platform. Okay, so first of all, I will create accounting codes and accounting, we call it items. So in Sage One, we can control it through items. I go to my item and I say, okay, my item is can be, for example, the Wi-Fi internet recurring service. So this is what I'm doing. So I need to put it to description, and my code, accounting code, will be 101. Okay, so that will be, and what is the most important is to set up correct VAT, because VAT in Sage One and Splynx is not controlled separately. It goes through this concept of items. These items I define as a first step. So I have created the Wi-Fi. Then I can go to another item and let's create fiber. For example, let's make a fiber internet recurring Okay, again, it should go to description, and the service, the code, accounting code will be 102. Again, 15% on VAT. Let's go to another one. Let's create a new, that will be voice services. Voice recurring, and 1003, for example. Then I will create another one that is equipment sell. For when I sell equipment, I will call it this way. And that will be 2001, for example. Then we can create one-time installation fee. That will be 3001. And then I can create all the codes, my accounting codes that I need, or I can match my items according to these codes. And then these items will be used when we will push out Splynx invoices. So let's go to 1004 and let's make it other recurring with a 15% VAT everywhere. That's what we have here. Great. I have defined these types of items and categories, let's say, and accounting codes corresponding to all of this. Now I should configure that also inside Splynx. Because let's go to section which is called categories. If I go to my search, and it will display me all categories that are available in Splynx configuration. There is transaction categories, cost and accounting categories. We will start working with transaction categories now. Transaction categories, this is what I mentioned. In Splynx, we have 5 different transactions. Service, when we create internet, voice, or any recurring service. Then we have discount. Payment actually is used by payment when we create a payment, but it's not synchronized as a debit transactions to Sage One, so this is ignored. Refund and correction. These are types of transactions that we have. If we want to extend it or change it, we are able to do it. So I can just go through my transactions, my types of items, types of transactions that I need to use in Sage One, and I'll create same names here in Splynx. So first of all, the service, I will start and I will call it Wi-Fi service. Or I can create a new one, and this service will be just applied to any other service that will be set, for example, that will be some kind of custom service. I don't know what that can be used, but I can match exactly the same numbers and leave these default values. Or let's change it. Let's make this one as a Wi-Fi service. And let's create another one that will be called fiber internet. Let's create another one that we have that will be called voice. And then what we have here is other recurring equipment sell and one-time installation. Let's make one-time category equipment, and I can create, yeah, so that's what we have here. Let's start now. We need to match the things that we have configured to transaction categories. So if we have internet service, by default it goes to the Wi-Fi service, but we can then go to service to each single tariff and change its type of transactions inside the settings. Okay, so if we go to voice service, I can say, okay, that should be the voice by default, and calls and everything, that should be go to voice, voice, voice. Okay, that will go to voice. Custom service, okay, that can be, that should be other. So then I have to create other. And then here below, I need to select this as the other recurring. One time should be one time. Bundle will be other. And inventory cell, so we'll just equipment cell, invoice item, we will make it other. So this is what I changed a bit now here in the default configuration for all plans and all services that we will configure in future. But I can go further and I can say, okay, let's say that internet and voice plans I'm able to define even per plan. So it means that I can go to my plan now and say that this fiber will not have the default transaction category, but it will have a, because the default is Wi-Fi service, I want to have it fiber internet. And this is what I'm going to do now. So I have created the new transaction category, fiber internet. Good. So that's what we did. We configured transaction categories in Splynx, and we have transaction categories inside Sage One. Now we need to match these transaction categories. This is the step that we discussed here. So we need to, I have described you the categories transaction concept. Now we need to go and inside Sage One define items and then connect them together with Splynx. Let's go and connect them. Again, in configuration and categories, there is accounting categories. Inside accounting categories, I'm able to map. So first of all, again, I need to load my categories from Sage One. This is what I'm doing. I'm loading that, and now I have it. These categories I need to now match to all the services that I have in Splynx. So Wi-Fi service will be Wi-Fi internet recurring. Discount, it will go to other recurring. Payment, other recurring. Refund, other recurring. Correction, other recurring. And then what we have, fiber internet will go to fiber internet recurring. Voice will go to voice. One time will go to one time. Equipment will go to equipment, and other recurring, other recurring. So that's what I'm defining. Now I have mapped my connection, my services and my transactions between Sage One and Splynx. Let's check what we have here. You can see that I have generated 3 invoices for test. These invoices are VAT included, and these invoices, they all have category Wi-Fi service, which is the default. I can remove this batch. So I just want to remove this batch from the 1st of April that I created. I go there on the history and preview, and I cancel my 6 transactions and 3 invoices. Now it's canceling all my invoices. I will regenerate them, and we'll check if transaction types will change. Okay, if preview canceled and everything was deleted. So I can remove that completely from the system, and now I will regenerate invoices from 1st of April. I select 1st of April, preview, it will show me that 3 invoices will be created, and I just confirm it. Okay, with the date of invoice, let's set up today. So I don't have to set up 1st of April, I want to generate these invoices from date of today. This is what I did. And now when I go to my invoices, okay, I see again, there are invoices. If I open, it shows me there is a Splynx company and fiber 100 meg and voice unlimited. It shows me the total amount and the 3,000 rand, and it's including VAT of 15%. Okay, we go to the next step and let's check transactions. Here we can see that the category was changed. So it went correctly to other recurring, to Wi-Fi service, and as you can see here, I made a mistake. So I allocated by default VoIP plan to Wi-Fi service. So I need to change that because probably there is some error because I have created my tariff plan as a first step, and then I was playing with transactions. So I need to go to my VoIP, go there and say, I want to make this transaction as a voice, because my new transactions, that categories that I have created, they are only working for my new plans that I'm going to create. So it doesn't correspond to, it doesn't change my old plans. So I need to go there and change them to what I want. I want to say that that will be voice everywhere. And so this one. Now I can again regenerate my invoices quickly to see that this was changed and transaction categories are correct. Let's do that again. Regenerate the preview and create the new invoice batch. Check, confirmed and done. Invoices were regenerated. We have 3 new invoices, and transactions now should be in the correct categories. It is. So they are voice, Wi-Fi service, voice, other recurring. Okay, so these are the transactions and this transaction, these categories will belong to correct accounting number inside Sage One when we'll synchronize information. Now, one thing that is not related to accounting integration, but is related to this concept of transaction categories is that I can go to my configuration administration, and inside this administration, there is a report, transaction categories. This transaction category will show me my revenue per category of my transaction. So I can group my different services by different types, and then it will count and show me how much I gain per category. For example, here it says that I got income with tax or income without tax if tax is affecting me. So I don't want to measure tax. I want to see the real income. So here I see the income without VAT, without tax is 1,100 for Wi-Fi service. And then I have for voice and then for fiber internet. So that all shows me the overview. I can choose a different period and that will show me, for example, for 1 year or for 3 months, my revenue per different income streams. Okay, so this is why we have these transactions. And also, as I said, these transaction categories, they are synchronized with these codes, accounting codes, and these types of items, we call them in Sage One accounting. Let's go and to the next step and synchronize information from Splynx to Sage One. This is the next step. Push customers out of Splynx to Sage One. Or if we have already customers in Sage One, we can merge them manually with customers that we have created in Splynx. Okay, so I don't have any customers there. I need to push all customers there. Let's go to Sage One. So I find Sage One. Here it is, integrations. This is how I can run my scripts to connect two platforms together. And if I don't do that, it will do it automatically if I enable cron. But if you remember, we disabled cron. So I go to my export customers to Sage One as the first step. Click on that. Let's see what will happen. So it should start exporting 3 customers to Sage One. And it actually did it. Okay, so it exported 3 customers saying that everything was done. I can go to my list of clients inside Sage One and check if they were exported or imported there corrected. Yeah, they were imported correctly. No balance there, no invoices, nothing was exported then. But as you see, we have invoices here in Splynx. So we need to export also these invoices out to Sage One. Let's go and do that in the next step. This is the next step, point number 5. We have pushing invoice to Sage One. When I'm pushing all this information, I want to mention and show you how we track all these changes. Inside administration, if you type accounting, this is the base of everything. This logs, it's a table inside Splynx that shows us customers in Splynx and accounting ID that it corresponds. And then status of accounting. And for example, when we create a customer, it says created. When we change the customer name, or if we change something in customer profile, then the customer is updated, and then this customer is pushed out to accounting platform with a change. Also, it works same way with invoices. If we generate invoices, you can see that there are 3 invoices that are not actually, they don't have any status in accounting. They were not pushed yet to accounting. And with payments as well. We don't have any payments, but I can create some payments. We can create payments that will work like a direct debit order, for example. Okay, and then we'll try to push them out to Sage One as well. So let's push invoices now to the accounting. Let's go to config, Sage One accounting, and here I have my export invoices to Sage One. I click on that. And if all my categories were connected correctly, and items created there, my invoices should go there without any issue. Okay, exported invoices. I have 3 invoices, and let's check. If I switch to Sage One, I see that balances of customers change. So there is a 3,000 Rand, 1,300, and 500 Rand. There are the invoices for these customers. So let's open customer Alex Cherry and let's check his invoice. There is a 1 pending invoice. and it should correspond to invoice in Splynx. There is a date of issuing, which is correct, which is today, and then in details, it will show me my description and plan and the VAT rate, and what is the most important is that it puts it to correct transaction type or to correct accounting code. When this is done, we can go further and we can process payments inside Splynx. So if we process payments inside Splynx, for example, this currently there are no payments, but this invoice, let's make that this invoice was paid, for example, as a credit card. So customer came from the portal and he paid credit card as invoice. So we add a payment. What happened here? So the invoice was marked as paid, and another one is that it created the payment. Here is the payment saying credit card. Let's choose another one and let's pay this one by cash. So okay, customer came and he paid in office. And we add payment. And this payment is also here. As you remember, I created one bank account in my Sage One. So it means that my credit card payments and my cash payments will go to one bank account, to one account here, which is not ideal. So better is to split it. But okay, I have created it this way. And let's go and let's synchronize these payments out to Sage One. Let's go to, let's display our customer, check their statuses, their balances. And now when we have the payments, you can see here, there are only one unpaid invoice here. And now we need to go and say that we want to synchronize and push payments out. So here you can see export new payments to Sage One. I'm doing that, I'm clicking the button, and it should push 2 new payments there. It is actually pushing payments as a receipt. So it will create receipts in each customer profile here. If I just refresh the page, here it shows that Alex has 00 and this Anna also has 00. If I go to customer, I can find his payment inside his profile. And also this payment is reflected in the banking details. So if I go to my list of bank, here you can see that it shows that there is 305,000 payments that were received from Splynx. And there are details, so I can see that details on my customer receipts and my balance. So I can allocate it inside SagePay to the invoice also and process that. And also there is a way to select everything and mark it as processed. Okay, so this is how we manage syncing the payments and invoices out of Splynx to Sage One. And now let's go to the next and the last step. Is we have still one invoice that is unpaid. I left it unpaid because I want to process these payments inside Sage One and grab it to Splynx. This is the last step. So this we did, we exported our payments, and the last step is, can we connect Sage One as a payment gateway? Yeah, this is also possible to do. We just must be very careful to not create duplicates when we synchronize both sides payments. Okay, so with this we have to be very careful, and I recommend to use it very carefully during the first month, second month, and then maybe make it automatic. But at least for the first stage, run it in the manual way, manual syncing. Okay, when we go to my Sage One accounting, there is a way to create a payment for that client. So for example, I have bank statements that are processed directly in my Sage One accounting, and I want these bank statements to be processed and create a payment. So I can add receipt, I can add a payment here for this customer saying that it will be allocated for that 1,300. And let's try that. Select your customer, list of outstanding. Okay, that's so many messages. And so I process that. EFT. What happens? Allocate and process. Let's check if something happened here. Looks like I have some error. Sage One. Yeah, it doesn't allow me. Let's try to do that again. And okay, so I have my invoice. Create receipt. Reconciled, yes. Document number, description, test, and process. Bank account is required. Okay, I don't have a bank account. I need to create one bank account that will be managed like inside Sage One. So it's like Sage One, for example, that can be FNB. Let's make it FNB. And so let's make this as a EFT. So that's what I did. A bank name is FNB. And now I go to my customers, and on that customer now it should allow me to create payments. Add receipt. Test, payment methods, EFT, bank account. Here it is, FNB, and now I process it. Gotcha. So now I got it. So there is a receipt that was created, but this payment was added in a different way that we did before. As you can see, there are some movements inside our Splynx payments, but this is the F&B. So this payment was not added to Splynx. I don't know anything about that payment. And what I have to do is I have to go to my config, and now inside this Sage One accounting, I have to grab payments from Sage One that were not pushed by Splynx there, but that were originated by other payment gateway. Okay, so this is what I do, and I import all payments into Splynx, or new payments. I can do all payments because I have no other payments. Okay, let's do all payments, and this is what it's starting to do. It's starting to grab payments. As you can see, so it says that it's skipping the payment because this payment already exists, because this payment is our payment that we have created. And then it's importing just payments from that were not inside Splynx. And if I go to my payments now, to my invoices, to my payments, so the invoice, because the customer, we do not recognize the invoice number, the customer has an account balance, but there is no pairing of invoice. I can set up how to pay invoices from account balance. If that was set up, then immediately the invoice will be marked as paid. But here it says that it's unpaid, but the payment is allocated to client. Okay, so, and the payment type is Sage One. I can mark this invoice as unpaid, as paid. Here it is, mark as paid, because I don't want to add payment date. Payment is already there. So I mark it as paid, and then it says, okay, the invoice is paid. And if I check my transactions, there are transactions for charge, and there is a one credit transaction for payment. And now everything is correct. But as I'm saying, if I will want this to be automatically allocated, I need to auto pay invoices from account balance. So this is what I want. I need to check. Then let's go to the payment list, finance payment lists, payments. Here, if I refresh, it shows me Sage One. So you can see there is one payment received by Sage One. Actually, this is all from the deployment guides. Thank you for your time. Stay in touch.